Okay, so the next thing on our instructions is to make the pom-pom for the tail, and I have already done that. I just used my Clover pom-pom maker, the 2-inch size, and I just used some white Caron Simply Soft yarn, and I made a pom-pom for that. I will link a description box a video where you can see a tutorial on using the Clover pom-pom maker if you haven't. Or any way you want to do a pom-pom is fine. Okay, so I've already done that. Now it says to go on to the sweater, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start sewing my bunny together, so that way when we make the sweater, we'll have something to try it onto. Okay, so now I'm going to be getting my pins, and I'm going to start pinning the pieces together, referring to the picture in the pattern. Okay, so first I'm going to go ahead and attach my ears, so that way if I've got my ears attached, it would be easier to kind of see where the face is going to go. It doesn't say where to put the pieces in this pattern, so you just kind of use your own judgment. You can refer to the picture in the pattern, okay, or put the pieces wherever you think would look the cutest. Okay, so I'm going to first go by the pattern, and it looks to me like the ears are straight up from the top of the head. So I'm going to take my pins and I'm going to start pinning my pieces into place, pinching that edge together like that, and I'm just going to stick pins in it to just kind of get the ear placed on there to give me an idea as far as if that's where I want them to go. Kind of in this see, there's the center right there, so I'm just putting the ear on either side of that center round, each ear. Okay, pinching it like that, and I'm going to put my pins in, a few pins here and there. These longer size quilting pins I like to use for pinning pieces on. They work really well, I think. Okay, so I've got the pieces kind of pinned there. So I'm going to adjust it. Looks like when I'm sewing together, I need to get these two pieces together better. So let me put another pin in there. Okay, so that's pretty good. And they are on either side of the center circle, beginning round. So I think that looks good. That looks good right there. So I'm going to get my yarn needle, and I'm going to go ahead and start with this one that is short, just to get that into the body. And then I will use the longer one that I cut to secure that one, plus go over to this one and finish securing it down. Okay. So I just try to go into the first round, into a stitch on the ear, and then in through the body, and then I come out on the other side. I put a few stitches in there, certain places, just to kind of anchor it down first, and then I go back and stitch it down even more securely. Okay, see how I came out far away from my ear, so I'm going to go back through that same hole and come up close to the ear on another area like that. And then I'm going to go through the ear down at the base. And they're supposed to be pinched together, so I can actually go across and get that ear pinched together. Whoops. As you can see, that's why you need to leave a long tail for sewing, because I'm already running into some issues with this tail being too short. So I'm going to go ahead and just re-yarn my needle with that little piece and just bury it inside my bunny's head. Come out just somewhere down on the head just to get that pulled through. See? Like that. And then you can just snip that off close to the body, and then just make sure that the little end is not sticking through. Okay, so now I'm going to use this long tail to finish up the sewing of my ears. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and anchor this ear down. Make sure it's still in the same right place I want it to go. Through a stitch on the ear across to the other side. That will pinch that base together, and then down into the body of the ear. I mean, the body of the bunny. Okay, so now I've got it secured down pretty well. So now I can go ahead and take off some of the pins here if they get in your way. So just keep stitching it down. Don't get in a big hurry. You don't have to get in a big hurry. It's just one side of the ear, so I'm going to go through that one, and then I'm going to go through this other side too, because I'm still wanting to pinch that together down there at the base. That was a little stiff there. Okay. And then down into the head. Okay. So I've got that pinched together good at the bottom. I like the way that's looking. So now I'm just going to go through some stitches, securing the ear to the head. See, sometimes it's easier to go through a stitch, and then instead of keeping all the stitches real close to the piece that you're sewing on, as you see, I went through the head and I came out way over here. Well, sometimes it's easier to do that and then just go back through that same hole to get yourself back over to where the ear is. Sometimes that works pretty well. Go ahead and remove my pins on this ear. I need to go through the ear again. Oh, but when you do that, make sure when you come out through an actual hole, not in the middle of a stitch. Then it's easier to go back through that same hole to get back to the part of the head that you need to. Okay, and then I kind of give a tug and see if I think it's secure enough. And as you can see, I've got some openings down there I want to go ahead and stitch down. So I go back through that same hole to get myself over close to the ear. Like that. Okay, and then I go down that piece, go ahead and tack down that stitch there that was loose. like that, see? Okay, so I'm going to keep working at this, sewing down my ear, and hop over to the other one, going through the head, hop over here and secure down that ear in the same manner as I did this one, making sure I've got that bottom pinched together, and then I will meet you up when I get them both secured onto the head. Okay, so now I've got my ears sewed on, and I went ahead and buried the end of the tail into the head of the bunny and trimmed it off. Now I'm going to go ahead, before putting the face on, I like to go ahead and pin on the arms and the legs kind of in the place that I want to put them, just so I can kind of get an idea of what it's going to be looking like. I line up the ear and the arm together, okay, from the side there. So I'm just going to put some pins in there to secure the arms down. Look at them, see if I like the way I've got them put, the place that I've got them put or pinned down. Okay, so there's one arm. Stick the other arm on. Lining up the arm with the tail. I mean, not the tail. The arm with the ear. And pin that down. Let's hold that there. Okay, so there's my two arms pinned on. Now let's get our legs and pin those on, just to give a look to see what it's going to be looking like. Now, if you remember, on the leg you had this one round where you did 3 invisible decreases in a row, and so it kind of made a little curve there for the foot. And if you can kind of see that curve, see that right there, that should be facing forward because that is his foot. And just kind of even it up in line with the arm and the ear. Get the long pin there. Get that stuck on there. Save room on your body for your other foot. Find the little curved space in the foot and pin that on. And if you need to repin them to kind of shift them over, you can do that. Oh, that's a short pin. I need a long pin. And let's see. Okay, so I look to see how I've got it positioned. Looks like maybe I've got the legs pinned a little bit back. I want to kind of get it even, so I need to push my legs forward just a little bit. And as you're stitching them, of course, you can kind of adjust it a little bit. Okay, so there is my bunny. Can't get him all in the shot there. Let me see if I'm zoomed. Yeah, I'm zoomed out all the way. Okay, so there is my bunny so far. I'm kind of liking the way where the arms and the legs are sitting. I think that's pretty good. So now I'm going to start stitching my arms and legs together. Now what you can do also, now that I've got the arms and legs together, sometimes I'll take pins and I will mark on the face where I believe the eyes and the nose is going to be going. If I look at the, just referring to the picture and then deciding, okay, well here's the neck, and then decide about where I want the eyes. It looks like in the picture they are they're about, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, about 6 stitches apart. I'm going to come down from the midpoint of my ears and just kind of pick a spot, because I can always shift it. And then 6 stitches. That's too far. Go back 1. Let's see if I like that. Looks like the nose is about 1 stitch down from the bottom part of the eyes. So here's the bottom part of the eyes, 1 stitch down right in the center. Maybe the nose would be starting about there. So you can kind of see, it looks like I've got the face a little bit off, so I'm going to move my eyes over just about a stitch, and the nose over a stitch. Okay, that's lining up a little. That looks pretty good. I might need to shift that just a little bit, but I think that's looking pretty good as far as the placement of the eyes. I don't know. Let's see. I think that's pretty good. So you just play around with the placement on where you're wanting everything to fit, and then you can start. I will just go ahead and start sewing on. Sometimes it doesn't really matter if you want to sew on the legs first or the arms. When I'm doing amigurumi, if it's going to be something that's going to be sitting up, then I will, a lot of times I will sew on the legs first to make sure that it's going to be sitting. It will actually sit right. Of course, with this pattern, this bunny does not sit. His legs are out, down, straight. And so it doesn't really matter as long as it's kind of laying right and it's not turned on one side. Looks like it's pretty much in line with where it needs to be. So I'm going to go ahead and start stitching on my pieces. And remember, these arms and legs, now some patterns you pinch the arms and legs together and you sew them on. This, you want to keep them round, okay? So when you go around going through the stitches and into the body, try to not pull them where they get squeezed. The base, it stays round and it does not get squeezed together. I'm not sure exactly how to word that. But anyway, I just kind of go into the body and then up from the bottom up, and I go up underneath and into one of the stitches on the last row there. See that? Whoops. My yarn needle just came out. And then I pull that down and I just kind of work my way around. Okay. So now that I'm coming out the arm piece, I will go back into the arm piece in the next stitch and then into the body. And pick up a stitch from there. Work my way around, and once I get around the piece, if I feel it and it feels like it needs more stuffing, then before I secure it, I sew it all the way in, I will stuff some more of the stuffing in there, working it as I go if I need to do that. Oops, I go from under the bottom, pick up a stitch. Well, if I can get a stitch. There. Okay, and then I just keep doing that, working my way around until I get all the arms and the legs attached, doing it the same way. Okay, so I will meet you back when I have the arms and legs sewn together. Okay, so I got the ears sewn on and the arms and the legs. Okay, I haven't put the pom-pom tail on yet, but let's go on and work on stitching on the face. Okay, so I have the pins stuck in. I've kind of shifted them one way or the other, kind of looking. After I got the arms and legs on, it kind of helped me figure out where to position the eyes and the nose. And so now I'm going to get ready to stitch them on. So starting with the nose, I went ahead and cut a length of the black yarn that I'm going to use for the nose. It is a DK weight, lightweight yarn that I had. And the way I hide the tails in is I start on away from where the nose is, and I go in, and you want to make sure you go through one of the holes. You don't want to go through a stitch. And then I go over to where I want my nose to be, centered in between the eyes, and I'm also went down about a row beneath where the eyes are going to be. Okay, and then I just leave a tail there. Okay, and I'm going to go over, I'm skipping one stitch, I'm going to go over and go in, and I'm going to make a triangle. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take my pin out. So come up at the bottom where I'm going to have the point of my triangle. Okay, and then back up, just like I said, completing a triangle. And then once you get the triangle complete, then of course you need to fill it in by doing like satin stitches. You just kind of come up inside the triangle with your needle. Oh, I did change to a little finer needle. It's still a yarn needle. It's got a big eye on it, but it works better with this finer yarn. So anyway, that's what you do, and you just keep making stitches there inside the triangle to fill it in. You can also come out another area, like over here. Just make sure you come out one of the holes, because you want to go back into that hole to get back over to the point you need to keep filling the triangle in. Okay. So now I have the triangle filled in on my nose, see that? And so now I want to start from the tip of the nose. So I'm going to go back into that same stitch, that hole that I came out of, to get me back over to where I want to be, which is the tip of that triangle. So then I can go down, okay? And I want to go down probably, oh, it's like a stitch and a half, looks like. Wait, let's see. And just refer to the picture also. That looks better. Okay, there it is. Okay. And then you can kind of play around with the stitches, pull them up just a little bit to relax them if you've got it pulled too tight. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and snip off my ends right here on both sides. And then you insert your needle in there, and over to where that stitch is, because you want to pull that stitch or the thread away from the hole so you don't see the black under there. like that. Okay, so there is the nose and the mouth. Okay, and then for the eyes, I'm just going to use, instead of the yarn that I showed you in the beginning, I found this crochet thread. It's not a number 10 weight. I think it's a number 3, maybe it's, or a 5. I'm not sure, but it's a little bit thicker than the regular doily thread. And so I'm going to use this, I think, for the eyes. So I'm going to cut a pretty long piece here. And then I'm going to start doing the eyes. Okay, so I'm going to start this the same way that I did the other. I'm going to go away from where the eye is, and I'm going to go into one of the stitch holes, not through a stitch, to get over here to where my pin is for my eye. And then I'm just going to do some satin stitches, I think they call them in embroidery terms, of putting the eye on there. Move my pen out of the way. And you just stitch the eye on there. Okay, so there's my first eye. Okay, and now I'm going to do the second eye just like I did that one, and then I will meet you back when I get finished with that. Okay, so there is my little bunny face. Okay, so now I'm going to go on and go to the next part of the instructions, and it is to make the little top for the bunny. Okay, so I'm going to take my pink yarn, this Caron Simply Soft, and of course you can use any color you want, blue or pink or yellow or green or whatever, any color you want. And then my E-hook, the same hook that I was using for the bunny. And I'm going to go on to the instructions for the top, the sweater or whatever they call it. Okay, so it says to chain 11. So I'm going to attach my yarn with a slip knot. And I'm going to chain 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Okay. Next part says, for row 1, we're going to single crochet in the second chain from the hook and in each remaining chain across. And you're going to end up with 10 single crochets. Okay, so the second chain from the hook, going to do a single crochet. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, and then it says chain 1 and turn your work. Okay, row 2 says, and this is going to be the same for row 2 through 6. We're going to work in the back loops only, single crochet in each single crochet across. So we're just still doing 10 single crochets per row, but each row we're going to do the back loop only. Okay, so we look at the top of our stitches, okay, and we're going to insert our hook not underneath both strands of that stitch, but into the back loop only, okay? And we're going to do that. So we're going to do that all the way across in the back loop only. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and so we're going to do that all the way across. We'll have 10 stitches, and then at the end we're going to chain 1 and then turn our work, and then we're going to do the same thing, and it's just working in the back loops only of each row, and we're going to do that from row 2 to row 6. So this is row 2 that we're on right now. So I will meet you up when we get when I get to the end of row 6. Okay, so I just got to the end of row 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6. And now we're going on to row 7. And in row 7 it says, well, at the end of row 6 it says chain 1 and turn your work. Okay, now going on to row 7, it says working in the back loops only still. Single crochet in the next 2 stitches. Okay, so 1, 2. And then it says to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, skip 5 stitches, and this is going to be making the armhole, and then single crochet in the back loop of the remaining 3 stitches. Okay, so we're going to skip 5, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and in the next stitch in the back loop only we're going to do our single crochet, and so single crochet 1, and then single crochet in the next one, that's 2, and then single crochet in the last one, still in the back loops only, that's 3. Okay, so there's one of our armholes. Sorry, that was my phone. Okay, next it says to chain 1 and turn. On to row 8, working the back loops only still. We're going to single crochet across in each single crochet and each chain, and we're going to end up with 10 single crochets across, back loops only. So 1, 2, 3. Now we're going into the chain, and there was 5 chains, remember? So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then 2 remaining stitches on the other side. 1 and 2, back loop only. So now we have 10 stitches across again. Okay? Okay, and then it says chain 1 and turn your work, and then now it says you're going to work in the back loops only, single crochet in each single crochet across, so 10 stitches across, and we're going to do that from rows 9, and we're going to chain 1 at the end and then turn our work, okay, just like we did in rows 2 through 6, and so we're going to do the same thing for rows 9 through 18, okay? So back loops only for each one. It's going to continue this ribbing type pattern, okay? So we're going to do that from rows 9 to 18, and I will meet you back up when I get to the end of row 18, okay? Okay, so I just got finished with round 18. I'm going to chain 1 and turn my work. And then it says for round 19, it says to repeat round 7. So this is where we're going to make another armhole. Okay, so back up to row 7, it says working in the back loops only, single crochet in the next 2 single crochets, okay? So back loop only, single crochet in the first 2 stitches. Okay, then it says chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then it says skip 5 stitches and then single crochet in the back loops of the remaining 3 single crochets or stitches on the row. So we're skipping 5 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so in the next stitch, back loops only, I'm going to do a single crochet. And then I'm going to do single crochet in the last 2 stitches of that row. So 1 and 2, all in the back loops. Okay, chain 1 and turn. And then it says for row 20, repeat row 8. And row 8 is just says to work in the back loops only in each single crochet and in each chain across. And you're going to have 10 stitches. So 1, 2, 3. And now I'm going into the chains. Remember there was 5 chains, so I'll have 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we have 2 left on the row that we need to do 1 single crochet in each of. And that will give you 10 stitches across that we just did. Okay, chain 1 and turn. And now it says for rows 20 to 25, we're going to repeat row 9, which is working in back loops only. We're going to just do 1 stitch in each stitch across, and then chain 1, turn our work, and then repeat that. And so we're going to do that for rows 21 all the way to 25. So this right here is row 21. And I will work on mine, and I will meet you up when I get to the end of row 25. Okay, so I just finished row 25, and it says at the end of row 25 we're going to fasten off, okay? So I'm going to cut my yarn, but I'm going to leave myself a pretty good sized tail. Chain 1 and then pull my yarn through to fasten off, okay? And there is what the jacket looks like so far, okay? Okay, so now going on to the next set of instructions, it says we're going to work on the armhole trim, okay? So, with our sweater, the color that we're using for the sweater, we are going to put a slip knot onto our hook to attach our yarn to our hook. And it says in this color we're going to work 14 single crochets around the armhole opening. Okay, so we're going to take our piece that we just worked on, and remember when we made the armholes we did a chain 5 on either side, and so it says we're going to do 14. We're going to work 14 stitches, so that would mean 5 on this side, 5 on that side would give us 10, and so that means we need to do 2 stitches in each of the corners, so that way we'll end up with 14 stitches. Okay, so I'm going to start in the corner, and see I have a loop on my hook already. So I'm going to insert my hook from the front to the back into that one of those corner stitches, okay? And then I'm going to draw up a loop like that, and then I'm going to make a single crochet. See, when doing that, doing it that way, I don't have to attach it with a slip stitch. I just attached it with a single crochet. Okay, so now I'm going to go across this chain edging, so there's 5 stitches there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, and now we're in the corner. Remember, we're going to do 2 in the corner, so I'm going to turn my little jacket, and I'm going to do 2 in the corner. So 1, okay, let me poke that strand of yarn in, on the inside so it'd be easier to see it. Okay, so there's 1 in the corner, okay, and then we're going to need to do another one in the corner, single crochet. Okay, now turning our work, we are at the other side, the other chain side, so we know there's 5 chains there, so we're going to do 5 stitches across there. 1, 2, 3, oops, 3, 4, and 5 in the last chain. Okay, and now we're back to the first corner again. And remember, when we started, we started in one of the stitches in the corner, so we just need to put one more stitch in that corner section, and that will give us 14 stitches all the way around. Okay, okay, so we did that. Now it says for round 2, and we're not going to join, we're just going to do a spiral. So in round 2 it says single crochet in the next single crochet, which is the first one of the round, which will be this one. So single crochet in the first single crochet, okay, and then it says chain 1, and then single crochet in the next single crochet, and then just repeat that. So chain 1, and you're not skipping any stitches, single crochet in the next one, chain 1, single crochet in the next, chain 1, single crochet in the next, chain 1, single crochet in the next, chain 1, and just repeat that all the way around. And now it says to fasten off, so now we're going to go ahead and join with a slip stitch into the top of the first single crochet of that round. Join with a slip stitch. There you go. And then it says to cut our yarn, and we're going to fasten off. Okay, so this one we don't need a long tail, just a tail enough to be able to weave in the ends. And then we're going to act like we're going to do a chain 1, but then we're going to pull it all the way through to fasten off. Okay, so then we'll just weave in that tail. Okay, so there is our first armhole, and now it says, sleeve, little cap sleeve, I guess. And now it says to do the same thing, those 2 rounds, to your second armhole, and make sure that you don't turn your work. You want to work on the same side as where you did. So this one's coming out this way, so you know you need to work on this side so it'll stand up here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do my second armhole, and then I will meet you up when I get finished with that. Okay, okay, so I just finished my second sleeve. And now let's go on to the very last section of our instructions here, and it's the bottom trim of the jacket. Now, just pick which one you want the bottom to be, because it's identical whether or not you use this one or this side. It doesn't matter. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I guess use this side, and then it says to keep using your same sweater color, so I'm going to attach it onto my hook with a slip knot. Okay, and then it says to work 25 single crochets across the bottom edge of the sweater. And remember, this length of this sweater was 25 rows. In the instructions we went up to row 25, so that means you just need to put 1 single crochet in the end of each of the 25 rows. Okay, I'm going to attach our yarn by inserting our hook in the very last stitch of that row. Okay, and then I'm going to draw up a loop, and since the loop was already on our hook, I'm just going to yarn over and complete that as a single crochet. Okay, now going on to the next row, I'm just going to put a single crochet. Okay, so in the end of each row, which actually is going to be in the valley of each one of these ridges, you're going to have 2 stitches, because that's 2 rows. Okay, so do that all the way across, just putting 1 stitch on each side of the valley of the ribs, I guess you could say, of the ribbing. And I will meet you when I get to the end. Okay, and you end up with 25 stitches across. Okay, so I got to the end of that side and I have a total of 25 single crochets across, and now it says I'm going to chain 1 and turn my work. Okay, and then now it says to slip stitch into that first single crochet. Okay, slip stitch, and then it says chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then it says slip stitch into the next stitch and then chain 3. So you're just going to repeat that all the way across into each stitch across. So just slip stitch and then chain 3 and then slip stitch, then chain 3 and then slip stitch, chain 3. Okay, so then you're just going to do that all the way across, and I will meet you at the end. Okay, so I just finished going across with chain 3 and slip stitches in each stitch across, and I ended up with a slip stitch in the very last stitch on that row. And then it says, so that's it. We're going to fasten off, and then we're going to put the sweater on the bunny, and we're going to stitch up the ends. Now, since I left a long tail on the other end, then this one doesn't need a long tail. All I need to do is just cut this off, and then enough so that I can weave in the ends. Okay. There you go. Now, I'm going to go ahead and weave in these 2 tails to take care of those, and I was still going to have this long end here that we're going to use to stitch up the back of the sweater. So I'm going to go ahead and weave in these 2 tails, and then I'll meet you back when I'm ready to get it on, put it on the bunny. Okay, so now we are ready to put our little sweater on the bunny. Okay. Now, if you need to squish the arms, because it is a little bit of a tight fit on the arms, but if you need to go ahead and just grab a hold of that arm and pull it through the armhole. It is a little bit of a snug fit, but this ribbing stitch does allow it to stretch, allow you to be able to stretch the stitches, okay? So I got my first arm in there, and let's put in the second arm. Okay, and kind of reshape that. Okay, then I turn our bunny over, and we're going to take our tail, the long tail that we left, and I'm just going to bring the edges together. Okay, and then I'm just going to stitch it just with a whip stitch, you know, going from one side to the other all the way down, and then fasten it off at the bottom. Okay, so I just pick up stitches one side and then over to the other. Just like that. Okay, and now I will meet you at the end when I have it all stitched up, okay? Okay, so I'm at the bottom part of my jacket here, and I'm going to go ahead and not stitch the that edging that had the chain 3 and slip stitches that was formed like that. I'm not going to go ahead and stitch those 2 together. I'll just leave that where it's open, okay? And now I'm going to go ahead and secure that where I've did the stitching, okay? And then I'm going to weave in my tail, just finishing off my yarn tail there, okay? And then I'm going to fasten that off and cut my yarn, okay? So there I have my little bunny. And now the last thing to do is to attach my little bunny, my bunny's little tail. So turn her back over, get my yarn needle, and I'm going to take one end of my pom-pom, thread that, just pull that through, okay, and then I take my other end of the pom-pom strand, thread that. And so that one's coming out this way. And I'm going to go into where I came out of. I don't know if you can see it. Like that. Okay, and then I'm going to take the two ends, fasten that down. I'm going to tie them together. Into a double knot underneath there. Really super secure, like that. And then I'm going to take these ends. In fact, I could just yarn them. I can go ahead and thread them together on the needle if it'll fit. Okay, yeah. And then I'm going to just hide my tails into the body of the bunny. Okay, and then I'm going to just fasten it off and kind of squish my bunny there to make the tails all get buried on the inside of the bunny's body. Okay, now I'm going to fluff my little tail back here. Okay, then let's zoom out. If you can see, my bunny is done. And I think it turned out really cute. Fun little project. I think it'd be a cute little baby cuddle ragdoll type gift. And that is the end of the tutorial. So thanks so much for you that decided to come along with me as I'm making this little bunny. And I hope that you will find this tutorial helpful and that you try making yourself a little bunny, or to either keep for yourself or to give to a little loved one that's a baby, or as a baby shower gift, or whatever you want to do. So thanks so much, guys, for following me along on this tutorial, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.